Well, it's been a while since we made a video, so I thought a good place to pick up again would be painting this thing here, because I'm always getting questions about how to paint these figures. So anyway, what we're going to do today is paint the head. And the reason I want to do this is I have to give a little painting demonstration up at the Dayton show in November, so I thought I'll just show you how I go about it and just sort of time myself to see how much time, how many segments it's going to take to work it to an hour, because that's about the time I have. So anyway, but before I do that, let's just go over everything out here just to show you my layout here on how I set myself up. Okay, the first thing I have here is a painting box. This is just a plastic box. You can find these at our supply store. It's also got a top to it, but I don't ever use that top because it's supposed to be portable, but it's not that portable, and I don't go anywhere, so I don't use it. I cut me a piece of glass to fit inside here because I like to mix my paints on the glass because it allows me to see through my washes and just see how heavy they are. I kind of elevated it here on one end to keep the water from pooling out and to keep my brushes from rolling forward into the paint. I have all kinds of brushes. 4 brushes over here. A lot of them I don't hardly ever use. Some of them I use occasionally. But these right in here are the ones I use most of all. Alright, I have me a container here full of clean water. I got my spray bottle here. And then I got all my paints. I keep all my metallics over here separated out from the other paint. And then my colors over here, the way I have them set up, I have my greens, my blues, my yellows, orange, and then into the reds. Over here I have some other colors. I brought these 2 big old containers here of paint because I couldn't find any more red iron oxide. And I don't know why these places stopped carrying. I guess I'm going to have to order it off the internet. Anyway, this is the closest color I could find to red iron oxide, and this is just yellow ochre. I've got my browns over here, all my browns and grays. And then spread around here I have all the other stuff. I've got my heat gun down here I use to speed things along a little. A lot of extra paint, some dull coat here, my paper towels which I use. I've got a thing of hairspray here I use to clean my brushes out when they get kind of gummed up. I'll show you how to do that later on. And that's about it. Oh yeah, I have these 2 things. I keep a knife around here, sharp knife around here, so I can pick off any little burrs or anything I come across while I'm painting. I keep this around here so I can screw it up into what I'm painting to allow me to hold the carving or the piece of the carving while I paint and not get my fingers all over it, okay? Which brings me to the first and most important thing you should do before you start anything is go wash your hands. You want to get all the dirt and oil off your hands as you can as you're handling this bare piece of wood, because you're going to wet it down, and if you've got any kind of paint on there you might think it's dry, but once you go to handling these carvings, that paint's going to come off your hands onto your carving, and you don't want that. Okay, like I said, we're going to start painting this. We're going to start with his head. What I'm also going to do is, I'm not going to show you this, I'm going to spray the fork and the knife here and the plate with some, and this little metal tag down here I use for his belt, with some primer to get it ready to paint. Okay, but the rest we're just going to paint right here. So let's just take his head off here. You can see I burn in all the little details that I like to do, color separations. So the first thing I'm going to do is wet him. Now I've got a clean thing of water here, and I've got a water gun, water spray bottle, but he'll fit down inside here, so I'm just going to stick him in here. Get him good and wet. Alright, just set him right there. I'm going to squeeze me out a little bit of yellow ochre. Don't take much. A little bit of red iron oxide, which I don't have much of anymore. mark those two colors up. And these are the other two colors we're going to use. Brown Asphaltum, this color is my favorite, Brown Asphaltum it's called. Doesn't look like asphalt, but it's great brown. And Midnight Blue, my favorite blue. So those four colors are what I'm going to use to paint this guy here. As you can see, as I wetted it, it totally changed the color of that wood. All right? So a lot of people don't take that into consideration, you know, the background that they're painting on. Well, you can see right there the difference. So I'm going to get my brush. Use this old wash brush. This thing has been around here for years and years and years, but it's probably my favorite brush. Get some water in there. These colors till I get the mix that I want. So I got it right there. Okay, I've mixed that up. Take my brush out. I always paint a little down here on the neck just to see how much color I have. And as I'm painting this, I always start with the lightest, thinnest washes first, because it's not going to matter that much if they slop over into other areas. Like I don't care if it's on his hair or whatever, because I'm going to paint over that with a darker color. I just ran out of paint. Pour in some more here. I'll just mix it all up. See, that's why you always wash your hands. As I'm painting him, I paint up to there, and then I don't go any farther. I like to leave the top of the head a lighter color because he's always wearing a hat. You can see here he's got a hat on. So you don't get sunburned up there. Okay, so I got the basic flesh on there. I'm going to need a little more red. To a smaller brush here. He likes his drink, so his nose will be a little redder than the rest of his face. And also, his nose projects out beyond his hat more than his face does. So that's going to catch more sun. So we want that nose to be just a little darker. And the reason I paint wet, as you can see as I'm painting this, you can see how when I put this paint on there, more paint, how it almost immediately blends in with the paint underneath. That's because the figure's wet and the paint just bleeds automatically into those other areas. Alright, I'm going to put a little red back here around this part of his cheeks. clean your brush out if you get too much, and you go back in and you can just wash it away. Good there. Looking good. Okay. While I got it there, I'm going to put a little shadow right here. Not much, just a little bit. A little bit. Dad used to say. Looks good. Alright. This is what's good about glass. You just get your towel and just wipe off what you don't need anymore. Alright, I'm going to get my midnight blue here, and I'm not going to use very much of this at all. Just a little bitty drop. That's all I need. Need that now. Touch that, bring it out there. Now this, like I was saying, this is why I use glass. See, you can see right through that wash. That's just how thin it is. But there is a color there, not much, but a little bit. And this is what I use to shade, to give him a little 5 o'clock shadow here. And the more it thins down, now look what I'm using now. I mean, you can't even hardly see that, but that's the perfect color that I need to do his eyes. Just painting his eyelids. All up. A little more, this needs a little more. Take a look. Yep, he's looking good. Okay. Take a time check here. What? Judy says. Alright, I'm going to do my asphalt from here. Squeeze out a little. Somewhere there it is. Back where it belongs, put that back where it belongs. Put that back where it belongs, get that out of the way. Okay, where's my these burn marks on here that separate, well, I mean, they do two things. They make the little details pop off a lot better, gives them a little emphasis. But they also create a color break by sealing the wood so the paint won't pour all across it, bleed together. wet like I do, you definitely do not want your colors bleeding into each other. By bleeding, I'll show you what I mean here. You can see these lines are starting to bleed out. And if I happen to use a lot of water, a thinner wash, they'll bleed even more. See how this black here is bleeded out? Well, you don't want that. You definitely don't want that. To get in tight spaces, just lay your brush down and then push it back up in the metal. Good job. See how the darker paint hides what you painted over? Right there. That's why I keep the knife handy. See that little tag?
No, I can't find you.
See that little tag right there?
No, I'm not there. Sorry. It won't focus. It didn't focus.
If your paint doesn't flow out from your brush automatically as you're painting, that means you don't have enough water if you use acrylics. So get some more water in your brush because you want this brush to let go of its paint easily so you don't have to fight it. Make sure my colors are even. That's looking good. You've got enough water in your brush. Get up to these areas like this, it will bleed right up to that burn mark. So that saves you, having to worry about being so critical up there with your brush strokes. You just sort of dab it on there and it'll automatically go up to those areas. Take your brush, get in a tight spot, and just push it up into those areas. Get up in there. You have to switch brushes. This brush is just a little too broad for some of these areas. where clean hands comes in. See, I don't have enough water on my brush. See how it won't let the paint go? I'll load up my brush again. Now the paint really flows out. Couple of holidays right there. Alright. Over to the smaller brush here. Oh, watch out there. Bring him around here, look for spots I missed. There's one there. On the side there's that spot I couldn't get that to.
Can't see it.
Carry this up just a little farther. See how the wood is drying out on top there? And then let it blend it out. Better. Alright, now for the eyebrows. What I do for the eyebrows is I dry the surface of the wood. As you note, the eyebrows really aren't burnt that much, so to keep that paint from bleeding into the other areas, I'm going to dry out the surface a little bit and then tell straight brown with no water. That'll be enough. And my brush here. Take my glasses off for this one. Just using straight brown paint. as I get out here to the edge, I just sort of let it drift off to nothing, like that right there. Little spot on there. Okay, for the eyes, I don't like to use white for the eyes. I like to use a real light tan. This is called bamboo, but any real light tan would do. That won't come out of there, but there's enough right there to let me do the job. Back and lighten it up a bit. Enough. Alright, I'm going to dry out some more. We're going to put a pupil in there, a pupil in there now, and I definitely don't want that to do. You can see the wood's drying out now. Especially on the top of his head. And again, I see a little tag right there. Okay, now, the black. I don't make irises and highlights on my eyes. Because when you're reducing a figure down to this size, most of that detail just totally disappears. So I'm establishing my eyes right now. That's good. Paint on my brush. Let's get the smallest dab on there. sure you get them the same size. That ought to do it. Let's see what he looks like. Looks good. Now, we're finished with him. He looks kind of mottled right now. That's because there's still a lot of water on it. So it'll have to dry before I can go on and put the varnish on it. But when we varnish it, the varnish is going to wet the wood just like the water did, down to those colors again we had it that you saw in the beginning after I dunked that piece in the water. So that will give everything, balance everything back out again. Once all the paint dries on here before he varnishes, it's going to really look flat and, you know, just dead. But as soon as you put that varnish on there, it's going to deepen all these colors and bring all these little highlights like the blue and the, you know, the other real light colors we put on and bring them forward, and it'll make your carving look really nice. So, we've got a long way to go before we do that though, so we'll hit those areas in the next video. So until then, I'll talk to you later.